Hi jazz aficionados around the world, Sandra Sherman here. Greetings from sunny Vienna, Austria. I made an easy to intermediate chord melody arrangement of In A Sentimental Mood. It's a beautiful jazz ballad by Duke Ellington. I'm going to show everything slowly and in detail. I also made tabs of my arrangement and a backing track, which you can both download from one of the links down below in the description box. All right, let's get sentimental. In A Sentimental Mood is in the key of G major, and we have a classic jazz song form AAB. A sections, each of these sections being 8 bars long. We use fingers, or like me, I use, here we are, I use hybrid picking, so I hold my pick between thumb and index and use my fingers along simultaneously. Here we go, let's get started. All right, here's the first phrase. We start with a pickup, which is a bar before the first bar. So if you want, so it's like -1. We start with the G major pentatonic. We're in the key of G. It starts on the G. That's the 5th of the D string, 7th of D, 4th, going up to pentatonic, 4th of G, 7th of G, 5th of B, and 8th of B. The whole thing starts on count 2. So if someone counts in, he would do like 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1. Here is that one beat of the next chord, of the first chord. And that's an E minor 9/11, beautiful chord. We're in the key of G or E minor also, and I can take advantage of all my open E and A strings, which I do here. Open E string, that's really fat. I like that sound with open strings. Then the 5th is barred on the D string, so you're not intended to play the open A string. So touch it with your index ever so slightly to mute it. 5th of D, 7th of G and B, and then the 5th by barring with your index over to the E string. 5, 7, 7, 5, plus the E string. Then we have a little the melody continues ringing and we need a little chord filler. So what we do is we play the D string again, but very softly and quietly, and the G and the B string together, also softly. Now we have an E minor major 9, and those two fingers switch. So what we get is 5 is still here, then the 8 of the G and the 7th of the B. The E string is not being played anymore, just those 3, right? And then I fill the chord again by playing these 3 strings one after another quietly. So what I get, and now back to the E minor 9, but I don't play that high E string anymore. 5, 7, 7 plus the E string. Then I have my melody going on the 8th of the B and the 5th of the E string by pressing that index to the E string. Where are we here? I lift my pinky up because I don't want 2 melody notes ringing into each other. And now it's for the 5 chord of that little 2-5, and that's the A7. I could of course play the A here, but I take advantage of my open A string again. That's a lot easier, in chord melody at least. So I have my open A string, the 5th still here, then the middle is on the 6th of the G string, and the pink is on the 8th of the B string. Moves into the 7th of the B, lifts off, the index bridges over to the 5th of the B string by barring, and then the index or ring finger, whatever you like, goes to the 7th of the G string. That's a little melody. Oops. And now for a C major. That's really nice. I play only the 3 strings, the lower string. That's the C on the 3rd of the A string, 5th of the D, and the 4th of the G string. And then I add the rest of the chord, because here's the melody. That's the 5th of the B with your pinky. And now the chord is changing to an A minor, and I play an A minor at 9 chord. I like 9 chords, it's so beautiful. Open A string, of course, we're an A. Then the 2nd of the D and the 4th of the G, that's our 9th. That's beautiful. Just 3 notes and such beautiful sound. And then I fill it up again by playing quickly through them one more time, but really quietly. It's not a melody. Okay, and here's the entire phrase number 1 for you at slow tempo. 3, 4, 1. Phrase number 2 is the rest of the A1 section, and we ended on the A minor at 9 chord, and now we add a different bass, the G bass. That's the 3rd of the E string. Everything remains laying here. Here we go. And now I have the melody. I play the G string, 4th fret, and I add the ring finger on the 3rd of the B string. Play those 2 a little louder because they're the melody. Okay, so from the previous bar. All right, now we go to an F sharp half diminished, and that's the F sharp on the 2nd of the E, plus that A minor chord. That's 2, 2, 1 on D, G, and B strings. And we have the open E string. So what we play, as a matter of fact, is the E string, of course, and the upper 3 strings. So I don't even play this one, but I fret it because I'm used to it. right? Those are the 4 strings I'm playing. All right, F sharp half diminished. And then I have a C7. My ring finger glides over to the 3rd of the G, 2nd of D, and 3rd of A. That's a C7. And here's kind of a blue note thing. I like to slide that. And then a melody continues on the 2nd of the G and the open G string. And going into an E minor chord, but I play an inversion first. That's the 3rd on the E and the 2nd of the D, and that's all I play, those 2 notes, no A string. And now I'll play some harmonics. I'll play them on the 12th fret. So the 12th, the harmonics are played by touching the 12th fret on the right side, not on the left, ever so slightly, and lifting off your finger immediately. And then I do another one on the 7th. You have to strum the strings really hard now. Just play the upper 4 strings, 12th and 7th. All right, and then I continue my E minor chord with a low E and a G triad. That's the 5th of D, then I play the 4th of G and the 3rd of B after one another. And the fingers keep on laying once they're placed here. So that entire bar of E minor is 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and then I go to a B minor 7, and I stop the E string from ringing as soon as I play that chord. That's the 2nd of the of all 5 strings. Then so A, then 4th, then the 2nd of G by barring, the 3rd of the B string, and the 2nd of E by barring. And my index touches that E string, because otherwise it would ring into that B minor chord. And then I fill up by playing those inner 4 strings, one after each other. Then I have an E13, low E, open E string. And now I have an E13 with the 7th in bass. That's the 5th of A, the 6th and 6th of D and G strings, and the 5th of the B string. And then we have our first house. This is where the house number 1 and house number 2 split. And the first one is a beautiful A minor at 9 chord. I like those chords, so I use them in my arrangements. Open A string, 2nd of D, 4th of G, and 1st of B. The inner 4 strings only. And now I fill up my chord by picking back and forth with the A string. So A string, then the D and G strings together, right? Then I go back to my bass strings, but this time I play a C diad. I'll leave this as it is, and I add my 3rd of the A, 3rd of A and 2nd of D. So move everything 2 to the right, and I get a D. That's the 5th and 4th of A and D strings. Then I move my ring finger to the 5th of the A string, E string. That's an A. Right? It's a little tricky, this bar. And I add with a G major 9 chord. That's G, 3rd of E string, 4th of D string, and 2nd of G string. And that's my last chord, and then everything repeats itself, all right? So I'm gonna play that phrase number 2 at slow tempo for you now. All right, 3, 4. The A2 section is identical to the first one, except for the last two bars, and this is phrase number 3. We have that A minor 9 chord again, the inner 4 strings, 0 A, 2 of D, 4 of G, and 1 of B. Then the open A string again, D and G strings again. Then that C diet again, that's 3 and 2 of A and D strings. Everything similar to the first house up until here. Then I move it up to the 5th and 4th. So everything's identical up to here, even in the second house. But now we're not going down here, we're going up to this D7 flat 9, or E flat diminished. That's 1 of D, 2, 1, 2, upper 4 strings. Play through it once, and then the resolution, G6, 9. I play the 3rd of the E, the 2nd of actually you should fret the D already. The 2nd of D and G by barring, and the 3rd of B and E by barring. But we just play the upper 3 plus the bass first, and then we play the D, G, and B strings. So 2, 2, 3, no E string anymore. So from the upper 3 strings plus the bass, I go to the lower 3 strings. And then I play a 2-5 that leads us to the B part. And that would be an F minor 9, regular F minor 9, 8 of A, 6, 8, 8, inner 4 strings, and B flat 13. 6 of E, 6 of D, 7 of G, and 8 of B. That's 2, 5. All right, and here is the entire phrase number 3 at slow tempo for you. 3, 4. And here's a really beautiful B part. I'm not such a fan of B parts, but this one is so beautiful. So let's hear it. We start with the E flat major. I actually moved the melody 1 octave up because otherwise we would end up really low and it wouldn't sound good. All right, so E flat major 7, that's the 8th of D, G, B, and the 10th of the E string. Then I lift this finger off and out comes the 8th of the E and the 10th back of the E. Then I move it to a C minor 11. That's the 10th of the E, D, 10th of the D string, 10, 12, 11, and 13. That's a C minor 11 chord. Then I bridge over and get an 11th of the E string. Then a C minor 9, and this is the same chord as we had labeled as E flat major 7. That's because we don't play the root hopefully the bass plays it. If no one plays it, you play on your own. It doesn't matter at all. The ear is able to tell the difference here. So that's again 8, 8, 8, 10. And then I lift it off and play the 8 of the E. So first bar. Then we have an F minor 9. That's the same we had before. 8 of A, 6, 8, 8, inner 4 strings. Then I lift my pinky off and make a bar chord by barring the index across to the 6th. So I have that 6th of the B string. And now it's an F minor 7 chord. Play the inner 4 strings only, even if I bar across everything. And then I add the 8th fret again, but only play that alone. So what it is again. All right, and then I have a B flat 7, and that's like a cowboy kind of style, but it's best to play here. I play my B flat 7 on the 6th fretboard, 8 of the A string, and the 7th of the G string, and the 9th of the B string. 6, 8, 6, 7, 9, 6. No, sorry, first it's only up to the B string. So I strum through to the B string. Then I lift this off and press against that high E string. Play the 6th on the high E string, go to the 8 of the B string, play that alone, lift it off and play the B string, and the 6th is here. So from F minor 9. And now we have an E flat 6. Let it ring for half a bar. 1, 2, then a C7 sharp 5. We're in the middle of a turnaround here. That's the 8 of the E string, that's the root. 8 of the D string, 9 and 9 of G and B strings. Played once, then the bass, then those 3 strings again, D, G, and B string. And then I changed to the tritone substitute, which is nothing else but changing my bass, my C, to a tritone above the F sharp. And what comes out is an F9 chord, F sharp 9, sorry. Right? Going down to the F9 chord. And then I have a little bass line that leads me to that B flat. So this is 1, F9, that's the 8, 7, 8, and 8 inner 4 strings. Played once, pause, then I move my middle finger to the 8 of E, then the 7th, then the 6th, and this is the B flat, and now I add the rest to get a B flat 13 chord. And I play the 6th, 7, and 8 of the D, G, and B strings, while this one's still ringing. All right, so this is 1 triplet. All right, and here's the entire phrase number 4 at slow tempo. 3, 4. Phrase number 5 is the rest of the B section, and the first 2 bars are identical to the previous phrase. So let's revisit this quickly. That was E flat major 7, C minor 11, F minor, B flat 7. And now instead of going to E flat 6, we go to D7 sus 4. and I have my D here on the 5th of the A string, and the rest is also 5th of D, 5th of G, and the 3rd of the B string. So I play the bass first, and then the D, G, and B string follows. Play it 3 times. Bass, up, 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 and one more time. Bass, up, 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 and the bass. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. And then we have a pickup to the A section again. So here's actually that second house with the B part, second term. 3, 4. In a sentimental mood, that's the A part again. The A3 section is, you guessed it, identical to the A1 section, except for the ending. The last chord is different. So after the B section, you go into that, play the whole thing up until the A minor, D7, go down here, and now we're not going to G major 9, not directly at least. What we do is we go to A flat major 13 first. We move down 1 to the left and add our index here. This is a really low voicing. We have the 4th of E, the 3rd of A, the 3rd of D, and the open G string. Just play until the G string, no B and E string. The thing is, the melody note is the open G string. And the chord is supposed to be a G chord. But what we do in jazz very often is we move everything from the voicing we want to end with, and that would be the G, 1 to the left, everything up 1 to the right, but the top note remains. This can be done fretted, but since we have the melody note is, the top note is an open G string, it's even easier because all you have to do is move up 1 to the right. Now I fill that chord a bit by strumming or picking the notes one after another. Except for that G note, because that's the melody note anyway. I want to keep that ringing. And now I move down to the target chord. 3, 2, 2, and 0 of G, open G. So this is really dark in the ending, I know, but I wanted it that way. Oh, sorry. Oh boy, what a beautiful tune, don't you think? If you like that rendition, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit that little bell notification so you get notified whenever I have a new video out. I see you next week. Greetings from Vienna. Ciao, ciao, servus, baba.